The chances of KD coming to Houston have skyrocketed as a new report sheds light on Phoenix's pursuit of trading the former NBA MVP and why the Houston Rockets are a prime destination for them in those trade talks. And what Phoenix is doing is insane. We're going to break all of that down right here in this video for Rockets Digest. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm your host, Donovan Ricondo, and we're going to get straight into it today. KD has been the source of a lot of trade talks regarding the Houston Rockets and, potentially adding the superstar to our roster. Now, there was some talk at the trade deadline. No deal happened. Phoenix tried appeasing Kevin Durant by firing their head coach, but that didn't work out. A trade seems to be destined, and the Houston Rockets are at the top of their list. And within those talks, there's been a major update, and it is this right here from Kelly Iko. It says that the Phoenix Suns have reportedly lowered their asking price for Kevin Durant. And he expands on this tweet right here. He says, quote, Phoenix is aggressive in pursuit of A, trading Kevin Durant, and B, regaining full control of their draft capital, starting with the number 10 pick in next month's draft. Team sources said, since the conclusion of the season, Houston has fielded several calls from Phoenix, who have since gradually lowered their asking price for Durant, those sources said. There is a price where the Rockets would be interested, but with a fear of breaking up their roster for a 36-year-old coming off injury, doubt remains over a deal materializing, end quote. Now, there is a lot to unpack there. So let's start off first with Phoenix and their aggressive nature. They want KD out of Phoenix, and rightfully so. There's no business of keeping a guy who is unhappy on your team, so I can totally see that that is a priority for them. They want to get as much as they possibly can get for a guy like KD. They want their draft capital. That is what they want. Houston currently has the 10th pick, which is supposed to go to Phoenix. But that is ours, and so they are after that. So any trade with the Phoenix Suns would result in that 10th pick going back to the Phoenix Suns. But the Houston Rockets have had several calls with Phoenix, and as those calls have occurred, that asking price, that those trade talks, the asking price has gone down. If you're a Rockets fan, if you're me, right, I am very excited at where these discussions could lead to. Now, I know it says a deal is far from happening right now. We're still in that doubtful stage. We don't know. But it's very, very intriguing because before, trade talks consisted of, Alperen Şengün, Jalen Green, and there's a concern of, wanting to keep the core Rockets together, that young core. And so when the asking price goes down, my first question is, what would that look like? What was that original asking price, and where is it now? Now, is there any reports on what Phoenix is looking for? Well, there is. According to NBA writer Matt Moore, he says that, quote, the Suns have indicated to teams that center is at a premium for them in any KD talks. He might stick around, but their biggest interest is in solving the center position, which has been a disaster since moving on from Ayton, end quote. Now, disaster might be an understatement for the Phoenix Suns. They so desperately do need a center, but that's what they want. Now, what does this mean for Houston Rockets fans? Well, okay, you got to think. Who do we have at center right now? And right now, we kind of only really have Alperen Şengün. Steven Adams is an unrestricted free agent. There is doubt on whether or not he is going to come back next season. We have Jock Landale. I don't really see Phoenix trading KD for Jock Landale. That would never happen in a million years unless there's assets involved in that. But there's Alperen Şengün. And let me just say, I am anti-trading Alperen Şengün. To me, he is your untouchable. He is the guy that has shown out for you all regular season, went to the All-Star game, was an All-Star for you, showed out in the playoffs. He was one of the few players to do that. He played like how he was supposed to. He kept us in a lot of those games, player of the game for many of them. And so I am of the opinion that you do not trade away the guy that is your most consistent player, that is your all-star. you do not trade him away. Now, what does that mean for KD trade talks? Phoenix is looking for a center. Who can they get? Well, that's why I feel in these trade talks, I think a 3-team trade is the most likely scenario. Here is why. The Phoenix Suns want their draft capital, starting with the 10th pick. So you know for a fact that they are going to be after that 10th pick. However, the Rockets do not have a center that they are willing to trade. They might be willing to give up a guy like Jabari Smith Jr., Tari Eason, and some sort of 3-team trade, some picks as well. But I think you would involve that third team to give yourself room and space to give the Phoenix Suns what they want, what they truly want, which is a center. Now, I don't know what that team would be. I don't know what team would be willing to trade their center. But for me, the Houston Rockets, for this deal to happen, for KD to come to Houston, a third team would have to be involved, because I do not see, and I would not want to see, Şengün involved in a trade like that. Absolutely not. Because then you are stacked at the guard position with no real center down low. So we don't know what's happening with Steven Adams at the current moment. So that's why I think a 3-team trade will occur and is what we should be after. Now, back to KD. Back to him joining the Houston Rockets. Yay, nay, what do we think? Well, let's just look at his stats real quick. 26.6 points per game, 6 rebounds, 4.2 assists, 1.2 blocks, 52% from the field, 43% from 3. Now I know, you see his age, and it's 36 years old. And I get that. I understand that he is an older guy. He's on the wane of his career. He's only maybe got 3 years left in the NBA, probably. But at the same time, there is not a significant drop-off in his play at all. He, despite being 36, is going to be 37 next year, is averaging 26 points per game. It's just what a future Hall of Famer does. He still has value. I know people are anti Kevin Durant from either a personality standpoint or from a basketball standpoint, whatever it may be. However, but if you can make a trade where you can keep Şengün, Thompson, and Jalen Green, if you can keep those 3 guys, anything else on the table, I feel is available. If you can make a trade and keep those 3, make it. Absolutely, I would do that in a heartbeat, because then you're looking at a fantastic starting 5. This would be your starting 5. You would have, at PG, let's say you re-sign VanVleet to a smaller deal. So you get VanVleet at PG, you get Jalen Green, you get Amen Thompson, you get Şengün, and you get KD. I cannot think of a lot of teams with a better starting 5 than that. I really can't. I can think of the Thunder, who are in the finals this year. I can think of the Pacers, who are in the finals this year. They work really well together. But that team right there, that starting 5, would be absolutely killer for the NBA. Because everybody benefits. The 52 games that we won last season, something like that, I can see that going up to 58, 59, potentially 60 if you can get KD on this team. Not only would Jalen Green benefit from that, but guys like Amen Thompson, guys like Alperen Şengün would benefit from a veteran guy helping lead the team. Because if you still have Jalen Green, he can learn from a guy like Kevin Durant. He can, gain some knowledge. If you're so concerned of him not developing as much as he should be in the time that we've had him, adding KD could help with that. That could be the guy that can help guide him and help, bring him to the level that he needs to be at. Because if you ask me, he's not quite there yet, as you saw from his playoff performance. So having a guy like KD could help do just that. And the other thing I want to point out, KD is here to win a championship. He wants to win his 3rd championship. And 3 years left, probably, right? 3 years left. He's going to go to a team that can bring him a championship. He knows, I'm positive, that GM Rafael Stone is having those talks. If they were to talk to KD, it's like, hey, we are on this track. If we bring you in, you are going to be all in what we're trying to do with these younger guys. Because these guys are our future. We would love to have you on the team. But these guys are who we're invested in. We want you to come in that veteran role, in that veteran leadership. Are you in? Yes, no. If it's yes, by golly, make the trade. Absolutely. Now, if the asking price was still the same, if we're still talking trading Şengün, if we're still talking trading Jalen Green, that's where I am hesitant. I say absolutely not. But when this report comes out and it's like, hey, the price is getting lower and lower and lower and lower for a team that so clearly does not want KD on their team anymore, then it's like, okay, I'm all ears. Tell me what you've got. And I'm telling you, if you can keep those three, absolutely, I would trade for KD in a heartbeat. I'd be willing to give up Jabari Smith Jr. or Tari Easton or the 10th pick or, future 2028 first round picks, whatever it may be. I am willing to give it up for 3 years of Kevin Durant. Absolutely. Now, the chances of that even happening are high, right? KD leaving the Suns next year seems to be a certainty, as Brian Windhorst points out. Quote, Kevin Durant, I'm like 98% sure he's not going to be a Sun next year. How it works out, though, I'm about 1% sure. There's going to be a number of teams interested, but some of it is going to depend on whether they see KD as a player that can keep on a 1-year contract or extension. So it's going to happen. He's going to leave. Teams that are in the mix of KD are the Warriors or the Spurs, Rockets. But the Rockets have the leverage. They have exactly what Phoenix wants. And if they can use that, if they can use the 10th pick as this big bargaining chip, and of course you would have to include Jabari Smith Jr., whoever it may be, whatever young talent you want to include in that, you can have one of the best starting lineups in the NBA. Because you cannot tell me that KD would not help this team next year. You cannot say that. 26 points last year alone is insurmountable for a guy his age. Oh my goodness. Him, Jalen Green, an attack team of offensive threats, Şengün at the bottom, Amen Thompson, absolutely amazing. Absolutely. And not to mention, this is another point that I want to end off on. KD would love to play for Coach Ime Udoka. He would love to play. That's one of the draws of coming to Houston. He has the utmost respect for a guy like Ime Udoka, who's been to an NBA Finals. He's brought that Celtics team to the Finals back in 2022. Ime Udoka, assistant under Greg Popovich, learned from a coach that has been, some say he's the greatest of all time, and I might agree with it. To work and to play for a coach like that in your last 3 years would be something that KD would want, because he wants to play for a coach that can bring a championship and a team that can bring a championship. And if the asking price is right, if the asking price is as low, it is getting lower and lower, the Houston Rockets should definitely listen and should definitely make that trade and make it happen to give this team the boost that it so desperately needs, which is a scorer that can get the job done in the playoffs. Kevin Durant has done it plenty of times. And if he's given the opportunity again, I don't see why he wouldn't do it again. And so with that, let me know in the comments. If the price is right, if you can keep those 3 guys, is KD the move? Let me know. If you think I'm an idiot, tell me. If you don't want KD, tell me. Let me know. I'm very curious to what y'all think about this update right here. And as always, if you've made it to the end of the video, that tells me you're a true Rockets fan, you love our content, hit that subscribe button below. We're trying to get to 2,000. We would love for you to join our community. With that, I'm your host, Donovan Ricondo. We'll see you next time on an episode of Rockets Digest. Take care.